Yes, Brock Purdy is the driver of the 49ers' success, just like I'm the driver of this roller coaster right now. So much uncertainty in the 49ers receiver room, but you could look at it as opportunity for some less heralded guys, and you can also look at it as opportunity for Brock Purdy as he continues to search for respect from the general media. Now, you may say that the general media doesn't really matter. I tend to agree with you, but fans care. Fans want Brock Purdy to get his recognition. Brett Coleman, who does great work on YouTube, he just put out a great video showing that Brock Purdy actually has been the engine of the 49ers' success and not the other way around. Anyway, speaking of engines, speaking of machinery, you might notice we're in Europe. We're still in Prague, but we're not at a pretty castle. We're not something crazy medieval anymore. We have made it to, well, another spot with some real cool history, a spot that most people will not find. So, hidden in the very back of Prague's Exposition Park, in a spot where tourists definitely don't roam, is an old communist-era roller coaster. I used to go to this thing all the time, and it cost about $1.50 to ride. And we're about to see why. It is shaky, it is rickety, and I may not survive for another 49ers update. This is 49ers update, the wide receiver position. We're going to talk about Ricky Pearsall on the other end. Oh boy! Woo-hoo! Oh! I am on this roller coaster all alone, by the way. There's nobody else here. There's no line for a ride like this, and I might just be decapitated right now. I got to duck. Oh boy. Oh, that was rough. This is a good, they call it the Cyclone. You know who else is a Cyclone? Brock Purdy. All right, Cyclones, Brock Purdy, 49ers receivers. I think we teed it up perfectly. Article is up on the San Francisco Standard. We got the news on Demarcus Robinson yesterday. It was at 2 a.m. here in Prague when we got the news. He has pleaded no contest to the misdemeanor DUI charge, avoids jail time, but it's 36 months of probation. Might be cut down to 18 months, according to his lawyer. Legal system has finished this case, but now the NFL, with their substance abuse policy and personal conduct policy, can look at the case, and there is some precedent to suggest that Demarcus Robinson could be suspended up to 3 games. So if you're missing Demarcus Robinson, and then you're also missing Brandon Aiyuk for the start of the season, this was already a 49ers offense that ranked dead last in average separation at the time of catch or incompletion last year. So they didn't set anything up for Brock Purdy last season, yet he was still able to rank in the top 10 QBR. How do the 49ers set things up better for Purdy in 2025? Well, first off, you need to have your horses back and healthy. So that's why we talk about Aiyuk and we talk about the availability of Demarcus Robinson, but there's a good chance that neither of those two guys are going to be in uniform week 1. That puts a whole heck of a lot of pressure on Christian McCaffrey, who missed most of last season, and somebody like George Kittle. But what about the rest of the receiving room? How is Brock Purdy going to work with younger guys? How are those younger guys going to compete their way into productivity within this 49ers offense? I think there are 2 subsets of battles that are going to happen within San Francisco's receiving room. One is the smaller receiver battle. To me, Jacob Cowing, Jordan Watkins, the rookie, both fit into that descriptor. I know that Jacob Cowing's even smaller than Jordan Watkins. And hey, maybe you could even toss in Junior Bergen, the 49ers' 7th-round pick out of Montana, into that competition, into that grouping. Although the 49ers and Shanahan and Lynch have been straightforward saying that Junior Bergen is probably going to be a guy that makes the team as a returner, not as a receiver. But Jacob Cowing, total speedster, right? His first speed in the first 5 yards of the 40-yard dash of the NFL Combine was faster than anybody's in 2024. Then Jordan Watkins came to the Combine in 2025 and essentially did the same thing. So both of these guys have amazing burst out of the gate. The problem with Cowing last year, even though he was productive whenever he did play, was that he weighed only 168 pounds. He wasn't big and strong enough to deliver in the physical realm, blocking-wise, beating press coverage the way that the 49ers needed him to be. So he's put on some weight over the course of the offseason, really impressed over OTAs. Jordan Watkins is naturally larger than Jacob Cowing was as a rookie. Jordan Watkins probably 190, 195. Right now he's 5'11". who's a little bit taller than Jacob Cowing. I thought that he brought some good physicality to just a good physical build. I thought that he brought, just good physical presence to OTAs for the 49ers, but we're not able to firmly see how that's going to translate into actual football until training camp, because they're not allowed to deliver contact. There's no press coverage allowed during the spring program. So the 49ers are at this point right now where they have seen the physical gains that Jacob Cowing has put in. They've seen the body that Jordan Watkins has brought to the table as a rookie out of Ole Miss, but they haven't been able to see the strength in action. And that's what's going to happen in less than 2 weeks at training camp. So one battle I see between those two guys who are speedsters, who I think can help the separation issue just by virtue of the fact that they can stretch defenses with their explosion off the line of scrimmage. What happens is when you've got that much speed at the snap, the defensive back has to play a couple steps further backwards than he's used to playing. All of a sudden, there's more room in front of the cornerback. There's more room in front of the cornerback. Naturally, you're going to increase your separation number. The 49ers rank dead last, and it's tracked by the GPS chips they put into players' shoulder pads. So this is all really precise stuff that comes from NFL Next Gen Stats. If you want to improve in that particular metric, well, just have the cornerbacks forced backwards a couple yards because of your speed threat. And I think that speed threat from Cowing and or Watkins can really help take the 49ers offense to the next level. Then there's a different battle. This is a subset of how the 49ers are maneuvering at that receiver position. We talk about the battle between the smaller, speedier, explosive guys. How about the battle between the larger receivers? And if somebody like Demarcus Robinson, who John Lynch said is bigger than the 49ers expected, he said he's kind of built like a DN. They like how thick Demarcus Robinson is. But if somebody like him isn't available for the first couple games, 3 games, whatever the suspension is, and if Brandon Aiyuk, who obviously is also a strong ex-receiver, isn't available, well then guys like Terique Owens, T.O.'s son, Isaiah Neyor, maybe the most athletic 2025 draftee, even though, well, he wasn't drafted, so he's not a draftee, the most athletic player in the 2025 rookie class. Those guys at 6'3" and 6'4" respectively, maybe they have a chance to at least make the 53-man roster on the back end and provide the 49ers with some depth. On the roller coaster, I talked about Ricky Pearsall. I obviously talk about Brock Purdy needing to bind all of this together. The 49ers receiver room, without Demarcus Robinson and without Brandon Aiyuk, naturally slots Jauan Jennings in at number 1. Jennings is your X. Jennings was the X last year when Brandon Aiyuk was out. Should have been a 1,000-yard receiving season. He got screwed over by the officials at Arizona. So Jennings is number 1. And then you've got Ricky Pearsall having to be number 2 for the 49ers. That is the, one of the massive strides the 49ers absolutely will have to see happen in this 2025 season. Pearsall, he had 14 catches over the course of the final 2 games in 2024. So I think that we can safely surmise that he has the ability. Now he has to show the consistency. And as soon as Ricky Pearsall can deliver what he did over the final 2 games in 2024 over the course of a whole season, he's going to be a bona fide number 2. And then it's Cowing and it's Watkins, guys like that battling it out for number 3. Maybe Junior Bergen throws his name into the mix. And then you've got Terique Owens and Isaiah Neyor battling it out for spots 5, spot 6 in that 53-man roster. They typically take 6. And there's going to be more openings within that 6 if somebody like Demarcus Robinson is suspended and if Brandon Aiyuk isn't ready to go. John Lynch summed it up the best. He said that there are questions in this receiver room because of this potential lack of availability at the very top of it, but that also means there's opportunity in the receiver room for the 49ers. And that's something that these guys have to seize. That's something that Watkins, Cowing, Neyor, Terique Owens, Isaiah Hodgins is another receiver on this 49ers roster. Those guys have to seize this opportunity. And you know who could bind it all together, who can make all these guys look better, who has made 49ers look better already? It is the Cyclone himself, Brock Purdy. So I thought it was fitting that we were in this part of Prague, this roller coaster. This is Exposition Park. This is a great example of Art Nouveau architecture. This is the main pavilion at Exposition Park in Prague. They are now fixing it. They're giving it a facelift. So that rickety old roller coaster that I was on, I think that they've also given it a facelift over the years. Now the cranes are in. as the storm is actually coming. Wow, that sky is dark, but you can see this great example of Art Nouveau architecture built way back in 1891. Perfect and authentic. We made it. Děkuju.